Good morning, this is Nick Faber. Welcome to Times on the Deck, the fast-paced news show that brings all your headlines to life every week. Over to my left, I've got my good friend Stephen Eady. To my right, my neighbor, Don Barley. And across from me, as always, Michael Care Bear Carmichael. Gentlemen, let's get down to business. Don Barley, what's your headline?
Many children's items are Chinese imports. Washington, August 5th. Despite a 2-year effort to eliminate the threat of poisonous lead in inexpensive children's jewelry, hundreds of thousands of tainted items are still being sold across the United States, the federal government has found.
What do you make of it, Don? Poisonous lead trinkets from China, Don. What do you think?
I'll tell you, my family used to raise Chinese ponies, and they were fine, except for the Chinese pony that ran off that once, but we found it later, so that was fine, too. The Chinese make a fine pony.
The Chinese pony is a lovely breed. Care Bear, Steven, thoughts on China? What do you got?
Monday. I went to P.F. Chang's last night, and the lettuce wrap they served me was cold. It was cold. How do you represent your country with a cold plate? I mean, unless you want to talk about Chinese ponies, well, maybe that's how it got here, all the way on from China on the back of a pony, a Chinese pony.
Class dismissed. Cold lettuce wraps brought out on a cold plate at P.F. Chang, says Stephen Eady. Possibly brought on the back of a Chinese pony, but I pose to you this question, Steve. Was that saddle on the pony made of poisonous Chinese lead?
What? What?
Pwned. Stephen Eady. What's your headline?
Okay, we'll try to get a load of this one. There's this bridge in Italy, right? And they have this tradition where lovers can buy a padlock on the bridge, and get this, they lock the lock to a lamppost and throw the keys into the river. What? What is the point of that? I mean, except for maybe the pursuit of the myth of so-called true love, a.k.a. obsession,
Ooh,
people.
Obsession. Quick, story about obsession. Care Bear, shoot.
Monday.
Well, it looks like Care Bear's back on his medication. Speaking of obsessions.
Dismissed.
Well, I've got a quick story about obsession. When I was a kid, I had a really good friend named Greg. In Greg's backyard, backed up against these woods, and there were trails all through the woods, and we used to go play on them. Well, one day, Greg told me he found a fort in the back of the woods, and we should go looking for it. So we walked out into the woods, and we were walking along this path, and over on the side, I see this piece of plywood on the ground. And, well, don't ask me why, but I jumped on top of the plywood sheet. And when I did so, it went wee, like a real light squeak noise. So, bounced again. And again. And, well, I was convinced that there was some sort of squeak toy underneath the plywood, you know, rubber ducky or maybe a dog's chew bone. So I kept jumping. Until the squeak toy squeaked no more. I lifted up the board. I didn't find a squeak toy. I didn't find a rubber ducky. But I did find a little baby bunny.
I killed a Chinese pony.
Well, my producer's telling us we only have time for one more story. Care Bear, what's the buzz?
Monday. Splat. Class dismissed. I get it, Nick. I get it.
Hey, well, that's all the time we have for Times on the Deck. I hope you had a great time, and maybe you learned a little something. See you next time on Times on the Deck.
I wish more things were made in China.